From Jim Parsons coining Bazinga to Raj showing up to Howard's wedding with a dog, The Big Bang Theory is a pot full of unscripted gold that just keeps giving. So let me tell you about the best unscripted moments from the show, starting with my favorite one when Sheldon hugs Penny. This was the first time the pair hugged. It was back in Season 2 in the episode The Bath Item Gift Hypothesis, where Penny gifts Sheldon a napkin signed by Leonard Nimoy. At first, Sheldon really doesn't know what to do with himself because, well, he owns the DNA of Leonard Nimoy. And his reaction's enough to tell me that this is obviously part of the script. Though what surprises everyone's the hug that he gives Penny. And that's the unexpected moment I, at least, have watched 100 times now. Just look at Kaylee's face turn red here. But as surprised as even she was, I think her reaction was great and made Jim's impromptu hug seem even more real. In fact, Kaylee's been part of a lot of other unscripted moments too. Like that time Penny got promoted to bartender. Only she wasn't one only a few episodes earlier, right? The sudden shift was a surprise to everyone. Turns out though, the promotion wasn't based on merit or anything, but because Kaylee had actually broken her leg. And after being AWOL from the show for 2 episodes, she came back in a scene where her legs weren't shown. Guess an unscripted bartender is easier to explain than unscripted broken legs, right? Oh, and speaking of Penny, there are a lot of unscripted scenes related to her, even if she wasn't in them. You know, like that other time Stewart said he loved her. But unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, Penny didn't hear him and walked away. At that time, fans thought that was some brilliant acting on her part, because who wouldn't have laughed at Stewart's confession? But now I know that the reason she was so chill was that she didn't even know he was going to say that. The "I love you" from Stewart was totally unscripted. And while Penny didn't hear that, the producers and writers of the show definitely did, because this line got Sussman a longer stint on the show. And boy, am I glad for that or what. I love you too, Stewart, my dude. Unlike Penny, who, by the way, inspired another unscripted moment on the show, and that was the roommate agreement moment. That came up that time Leonard and Penny pretended to be in a relationship so they could release her dad. Poor Sheldon didn't know that though, because he spent the whole night creating a roommate agreement and factoring Penny in it for special occasions when she had to stay over. So imagine his surprise when he finds out they'd broken up again. He obviously couldn't do much but throw away the papers in the air. One of which got too attached to him though, because it landed right on his shoulder, and Parsons never even budged. That's what made the scene a whole lot legit, because he stared at Leonard in anger. The misplaced paper just amped up his shock, fitting in especially when he said his line, "Do you care about others' feelings, Leonard?"
Do you even think about other people, Leonard? Do you?
It's things like these that make this show the coolest one ever. Or maybe it's the fact that the cast was so comfortable with each other. They just felt like themselves in each other's presence. No wonder stuff like this paper scene happened more often. And even the spaghetti one. You know, that one where Penny and Sheldon have spaghetti with hot dog pieces together? Yeah, that scene. Now, the whole episode was great, and it was really fun to see Sheldon learn some social norms after Leonard and Penny's breakup. But did you know that during the dinner scene, they almost forgot their acting norms too? Apparently, the spaghetti was so tasty that they couldn't help but keep eating during the scene, and almost forgot their lines because of that. Imagine how hungry these guys must have been to have actually forgotten to do their jobs while eating up. But if a show's this great and the cast is so talented, even real-life interruptions or characters can't ruin their momentum. And that's what happened when Sheldon spanks Amy. Now, don't get me wrong, the spank wasn't entirely scripted. That would have been wholly inappropriate. But actually, even though the spank was supposed to happen, it was to happen off-screen instead. Too bad for Jim Parsons, though. He and Mayim acted the scene out so well. So not only did the writers go back on their promise of showing the smoking monkeys clip while the spanking happened in the background, they also made sure that the scene's extended cut was added to the episode, making it a super funny gag that's now a solid part of The Big Bang Theory. According to reports, Jim was actually pretty surprised when he found that the scene made it to the screen. And even even said that if he'd known, he would have practiced. Mayim, on the other hand, said that shooting the scene was super difficult because she wanted to laugh during the whole thing.
Oh my.
Excuse me. You're not supposed to be enjoying this.
Well, she may have held her laughter here, but there are a lot of other episodes where their laughter was made part of the real episode. Although, I'd say that's normal. Unlike the boos the audience yelled out during Will Wheaton's Star Trek moment, in the episode The Opening Night Excitation, where as the group settles in for a Star Wars screening, Wheaton shows up in Star Trek attire instead, causing the crowd to go nuts, and not in a good way. But did you know that Will's entire act was a surprise? Even the actors didn't know this was happening. So the reactions you're seeing here, they're all improvised. From Leonard's reluctant smile to Raj and Howard's stares, all this was totally unscripted. So it was totally real. As real as, say, Jim Parsons improvising Bazinga. Yep, the catchphrase that changed the world was actually a total surprise and definitely not part of the original script. Instead, there was no such catchphrase for Sheldon at all.
Come here! Bazinga. 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 Bazinga.
But one fine day, Parsons just up and used the word, and it became part of his acting history. The story is that during the filming of the show, Stephen Engel used to use this word at the end of every prank he played. And so, while filming, Jim just thought it would be cool if he used the word too. Well, the writers apparently loved it so much, they made it a permanent part of the Big Bang Theory. Surprising, right? But if you're shocked at Bazinga's origins, wait till I tell you that even the show's soundtrack was improvised. Yep. And if I'm counting its best unscripted moments, I think the fact that its whole theme song is one of them should definitely come on top.
The whole universe was in a hot, dense state that nearly 14 billion years ago expansion started. Wait, dear.
And what amazing improvisation that is, right? Well, turns out that it actually happened because of British scientist Simon Singh's book, Big Bang. Ed Robertson had just read it before his concert in Los Angeles, and because he had a head full of space-time knowledge, he launched into a freestyle rap then and there about the origins of the world. As coincidence would have it, Chuck Lorre and Bill Prady were also at the concert. Now, they'd already approached the group to write the show's song, and when they heard Ed ace this crazy rap, they knew they had struck gold. And that's where they got them to use that off-the-cuff rap and turned it into an actual song. What a cool origin story, right? And that wraps up my list of the best unscripted moments from the show.